It all started on one sunny morning with two little girls from Ontario, Canada playing in their garden. What they would find next would prove to be of much greater significance than the seemingly generic setting. A toad, but not just a regular toad. Something was not right. Where the eyes of the toad would normally be was a smooth, slimy skin. The toad didn't have any eyes. That is what the girls believed, until the toad opened its mouth and gazed upon them with two gangly eyes hidden in the roof of its mouth. This caused the girls to rush back to their parents to report this ungodly discovery. But what was the cause of this phenomenon? According to researchers, this one-of-a-kind toad was likely affected by a genetic phenomenon that biologists call a macromutation. A macromutation is a mutation that has made a significant impact on an organism caused by a change in a regulatory gene that's responsible for the expression of an array of structural genes. While the process of adaptation is widely regarded to be driven by an accumulation of tiny genetic changes, biologists have suggested that macromutations could be the cause of certain adaptations. According to Princeton University, macromutations appear to be the only explanation for differences in body segment numbers among arthropods, because very few changes to genes actually need to occur in order to cause such a huge physical change. Polydactyl cats are another example where a significant physical change, such as extra toes, can result from a small change to an individual's phenotype. But it's thought that generally, macromutations don't have much influence on the process of evolution. Okay, but that begs the question. What is causing these toads to adapt with their eyes inside their mouths? Well, the culprit may be none other than a multi-host parasitic trematode worm, also known as flatworms, named Ribiera onditrea. According to a 2002 study led by Jeffrey Stopper from the Department of Biology at the US Sacred Heart University, reported that individuals infected with trematode cysts suffered from massive disruption and abnormal cell growth. However, in order to explain why these worms mutate frogs and toads, we will have to dive into the Rebioa parasite's complex, multi-host life cycle, which begins with the ramshorn snail, a creature common to many western US wetlands. The flatworm asexually clones itself inside the snail, stripping the mollusk of its gonads, the organs that produce gametes, and converts into a parasitic machine. From there on, each night the snail releases hundreds of free-swimming Ribierioa larvae, which seek out their next host, the tadpoles, with remarkable precision. Once the parasite larvae penetrate the tadpole's tissue, it begins to zero in on the developing limb buds, so that when the tadpole begins to metamorphose into a frog or a toad, its primary system of locomotion doesn't work. It can't jump, nor can it swim. The parasitic worm does this to prepare itself for its next and final host, the birds. Once the frog develops into an adult, they can easily be eaten by birds. The parasite then reproduces sexually inside the birds, and when the birds defecate, their feces contain parasite eggs that eventually make their way back into the snails. As a result, some frogs have found a way to adapt by simply growing more legs. However, something weird has been happening. Though the Ribioa parasite occurs naturally in North America, there seems to be an increasing prevalence, as shown by a study that was conducted in 2010 by Peter Johnson, an ecologist at the University of Colorado at Boulder, and colleagues who gathered data on frogs and parasites in 48 wetlands in California, Oregon, Washington, and Montana. For instance, ponds where scientists had found few mutated frogs in 1999 now had 30% or more frogs with deformed limbs. In contrast, former hotspots from 1999 now had fewer of the diseased amphibians. This substantial change in hotspots can be explained by human activity. The study showed that the ramshorn snails feed primarily on algae. Runoff from agriculture and industry into wetlands contains nutrients that act as a fertilizer, boosting algae growth and in turn increasing the snail population. With more snails in the wetlands, the parasites have more initial hosts to infect, culminating into an ecological problem as some of the hotspots can house threatened or endangered amphibians. Whilst there's been no confirmation that trematode infections can cause the shifting of eyes, as we've never observed another specimen suffering from such symptoms, it could, however, be a piece of this mysterious puzzle. For now, however, this little Canadian toad will have to remain a bizarre enigma. But what do you think? Was this bizarre mutation caused by a flatworm? Or maybe something else?